Hey everybody, this is Andy from Tennis Euphoria, and today I wanted to bring you my review of the Yonex Ezone 98, the 2020 version. I will compare it to the DR and the predecessor, but I wanted to bring this to you now because it's fresh in my mind, and of all of the rackets that I have reviewed over the last couple of years, it's been this one that has surprised me the most. Now unfortunately I don't have any playing footage. That's on another camera which is locked up elsewhere and I can't get at it where it's still in lockdown, but nevertheless I wanted to bring this to you now whilst it was still clear in my mind. So why has this racket surprised me? Well, I guess you think of diametrically opposed characteristics when it comes to rackets. Power and spin on one hand, control and feel on the other. Now of course, according to Yonex, this is the racket where power meets control. Now I'm quite a fan of Yonex as far as tennis manufacturers go. Their isometric famous head shape is slightly different to the other manufacturers, and their claim is that that increases sweet spot, and I have to say that generally when I've hit with Yonex rackets I kind of agree. They do feel like they're a bit more forgiving, so I think that that isometric shape does give a bit more forgiveness. Also, the quality of their manufacture always seems really good. I mean, the rackets are manufactured in Japan, not China like a lot of the other brands, and furthermore their paint jobs are always fantastic. They just feel really good. What I also like about their manufacturing and their tech is that when they claim that they will do something, it does generally seem to be the case. So their V-Core Pro 97 range is their control range, and definitely those rackets deliver a nice lot of control. Their V-Core 98 rackets are their spin rackets, and certainly I would agree that they do deliver a lot of spin. Also, the quality control on their manufacturer seems to be really good. So if your game is advancing, you would probably want two rackets that are pretty much the same. Now with most manufacturers, you'd probably have to go and get two rackets and get them professionally matched by that retailer or somebody else in order to have direct comparables. But with Yonex, however, you can be pretty sure that you can go and buy two rackets off the shelf unstrung. They will be largely the same weight. So their differentiation in their racket manufacturing is really good. But then you have the Yonex Ezone 98. Now I kind of get that the Ezone is the power and spin line, but if that was your main consideration, wouldn't you go and buy the Yonex Ezone 100, which has that 100 square inch head and the 300 gram unstrung weight, so kind of competing with the Pure Drives and the Pure Aeros of this world? So I never really understood where the Yonex Ezone 98 sat, and when I compare it to the DR and the most recent version of it, then I started to understand what I think they're trying to do. So the DR is a fantastic stick. Lots of people hold on to the DR as being an amazing control orientated racket with a really sort of nice feel that was quite unique. Now Yonex took a step away from that with the most recent version, making the more recent version of the Ezone, this racket, more powerful. And people weren't particularly taken by it, me included. I guess it was kind of pure drivey, but not really a pure drive, so it didn't really see its space. So you get a feeling with this current racket that they are trying to take it back towards the DR, little bit more control, nice feel orientated playing racket. And I have to say that it does deliver. It reminded me very much of the DR, and when I hit it next to the DR, it was very comparable. What made the DR quite special in my view was it was slightly heavier, a 310 gram unstrung weight. And this Ezone really feels like a sort of development on the previous version, still at 305 gram. Looking at the specs of the racket, the 2020 Ezone 98 has a 98 square inch head, as we know. It's 305 grams unstrung. It's got a 31.5 balance point, a 64 RA, and the swing weight is relatively low at 317. It also has some neat tech. It obviously has that isometric head shape, but also it has some M40 elastic graphite, which is meant to be very elastic, giving you a nice sort of flex, but also some good stability. And I have to say, I think that delivered. I found the racket for a 305 weight to be quite stable, but it did feel quite flexible, and it certainly felt quite whippy, mainly because of that 317 swing weight. Also, it has vibration mesh in the handle. Now, I think that's quite key. This is a very, very comfortable racket. So when you do have a bit of instability, it isn't going to be an arm jerk. I mean, this is a good racket for someone who's looking for comfort. So what we have then is a very comfortable, quite whippy, powerful, fairly spin orientated frame, which also for me delivered quite a lot of control. Now, I think that has something to do with the string pattern. It's an open 16 by 19 string pattern which delivers a nice lot of spin, but if you notice the pattern, they have some technology which sort of lowers the spacing of that around the sweet spot and at the center of the racket. Now that does deliver, for me, good control, particularly when you're feeling good, you're moving well, which means then that the racket, I guess, sits in the category of a Technifiber XTC 305 or a Wilson blade, and some of those classic 98-inch rackets that are looking to a little bit of everything. But after I played with it, I came to realize that actually I thought it offered more pop than the blade, and with a lot of the competitors in that space, it also was just as controlled. So I had a bit of a enlightening moment with it where I just added a little bit of weight at 12, 3 and 9, took it up to about 310, 312 unstrung, which I guess was like the previous DR, and at that point I had an amazing racket on my hands. It was more stable, the swing weight was taken up a touch, probably around about to that range that I like, around about the sort of 325 to 330, and all that power spin was coming through. It still felt really flexible, it was still very maneuverable. And I do think that comfort in rackets is really important and is kind of underestimated by a lot of manufacturers nowadays. And with regards to that Yonex Ezone, it is a very, very comfortable racket. So if you're looking for something that offers you a lot of things but comfort's on your mind, or if I guess like me you're getting a little bit older and you are mindful of not getting injured, then absolutely the Ezone is a really good racket. So I think this is one to watch. I mean, I think this is a racket that delivers a lot of the 100 square inch characteristics because of that isometric head shape. It does give amazing spin potential and it has a lot of power. I think it's very forgiving, but it also, I think, matches up with a lot of the rackets in that 98 square inch space around control. I found that I was playing very, very well with this racket and it really surprised me. Maybe it just goes to show that you should leave any preconceptions at the door and just get out and try things. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Certainly for me, give the Ezone 98 a trial and maybe pick one up and customize a little bit more weight, and it makes it a fantastic racket in my view. I play tested with 3 different strings, head links, Cyclone, and I also tried to get close to the Nick Kyrgios setup by putting a Yonex string in it. Now I understand from some research you can't get hold of the string he uses, but this was the closest that I could find. I use 16 gauge because it is a fairly soft racket on your arm, so you can get away with that, and I strung it pretty low at about 53 pounds. Hope you like this review. Think about subscribing, telling your tennis friends about it. Sorry again that there was no playing footage, but I'll be back with more racket terminology explanations soon, and I'll also be going live with a lot of fitness tennis videos soon. A lot of those will cover how to protect your body as well as how to train for tennis, particularly how to train for tennis when we're in lockdown. So see you soon.